Deciding which credit card or loan is right for you is like trying to choose where you want to eat for dinner. Except when you finally get to the restaurant, the menu's riddled with jargon that no average foodie could understand. So at Credit Karma, we keep things simple. We show you personalized recommendations that align with your money goals and help you turn the confusing fine print into terms you can actually understand. And as a cherry on top, we provide a detailed overview for a new card or loan before you apply. That way, we can help you make decisions faster and with more confidence. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
Why don't you have it?
I believe I left it at his place of business when after I signed it.
Right, then take a picture of it with your phone or something so that you have a copy.
Right, but
Do you have a copy of it? Neither one of you have a copy of it.
Right.
Hold on, let me see if I have a copy of it. Come on, guys. You're like how many cases in a row am I going to have the same problem with?
Yeah, I would like to kick myself also, Your Honor.
Good, go ahead and do that. And,
This is the plaintiff, Robert Isaiah. He says he was hired by the defendant to revamp his business website. He did a great job, the guy. Now he's being stiffed. That's right. He's owed $650 for his hard and dedicated work. The guy refuses to pay him, however, so he's suing for just that. This is the defendant, Willie Moody. He says the plaintiff's trying to pull a fast one on him by charging him a monthly maintenance fee, which they never agreed to. This guy's a real slickster. He won't be ripped off by the likes of him and refuses to pay for something he didn't agree to. He's accused of refusing payment. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $500, the money he paid for a secure website.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Isaiah, what brings you to court?
I'm basically suing Mr. Moody for non-payment of a site maintenance agreement.
But how did you meet Mr. Moody?
We were at a conference in New Jersey, and there was a question about funding. I gave him a link about funding that he wasn't aware of.
Meaning funding for what?
For nonprofits.
Because he has a nonprofit.
Yes,
What's the name of the nonprofit?
Chosen Generation Community Corporation.
And what do you do?
Counseling.
For what specific issues?
Mental health and substance abuse.
Mental health and substance abuse. So you were tapping him into sources he didn't know of for funding?
Absolutely, ma'am.
Right. Well, how did you come to be hired to fix this website?
I believe I gave him a card and kind of explained some of the capabilities that I could bring to his organization.
Had he complained about his website?
Yes.
He had told you that the person who did it had what?
Basically, I don't know if I can say this, but let's just say the previous contractor took the money and ran.
Took the money and ran. All right.
Yes,
so he hires you and agrees to pay you how much to fix the website?
$500.
So is there anything in writing between the two of you?
Yes, we had a memorandum of understanding. They call it an MOU.
Was anything ever signed?
Yeah, the original MOU to restore the website, that was signed. Unfortunately, I don't have my signed copy of it.
What do you guys think we get signed copies for, gentlemen, if not to bring to court to prove things? What's the point of getting anything in writing if you're not going to bring it to me? Why don't you have it?
I believe I left it at his place of business when after I signed it.
Right, then take a picture of it with your phone or something so that you have a copy.
Right, but
Do you have a copy of it?
No.
Neither one of you have a copy of it.
Right.
Hold on, let me see if I have a copy of it. Come on, guys. You're like how many cases in a row am I going to have the same problem with?
Yeah, I would like to kick myself also, Your Honor.
Good. Go ahead and do that. And it's just nuts. All right. So I see two unsigned documents. One talks about the initial work being $500. The other one talks about $75 per month for site maintenance. Were either one of these signed?
No. Oh, the first one was. The second for site maintenance was not, ma'am.
Okay. Did you guys ever talk about it?
Absolutely.
And what
basically, we were talking. I brought up the fact that site maintenance would have to be done.
Do you have any? Okay. Do you agree that you agreed to $75 a month in site maintenance, even
Yes.
if it wasn't signed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we don't seem to have a dispute about that. So what he is suing for 2 months of site maintenance plus punitive damages because you didn't pay it. So he's turned $150 for site maintenance plus another $5. So he's turned a $150 case into a $650 case. And what I would like, and then you're counterclaiming against him $500 because he didn't do the original job. So tell me what is going on here.
So the original contract that was signed said that he would restore and store.
What does store mean?
Meaning secure the site.
Is that what store means? I don't even know what store. What does restore and store mean?
Those are his words.
No, I'm asking. Well, wait
no.
a minute. They're on the contract. Who wrote the contract?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Well, what does store like? When you read that, what did you think it meant? Because you signed the contract, according to you.
What happened was when the original site was supposed to be restored to a degree of functionality so that it could be presented on the internet. As far as this storing of the website, that was basically a scenario that the site would be backed up and maintenance would be followed through on.
I'm sorry. What does store mean?
Store.
Do you have?
Backup.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a backup of your original restoration of the site?
Yes.
Did you ever give it to him?
No, that
He doesn't have that, but you have that.
Oh, yes, and it was part of the scenario with the site maintenance.
Why? What if I decide only to hire you for restoring the site? Then you would be giving him the copy, right?
Well, that may be true, ma'am.
Right. And he did pay you fully for restoring the site.
Right.
And according to you, how quickly did the site break down?
I'm not sure when it broke down. I just knew that when I went to see the site, it was not the original site that we put together.
Okay, but I need to know the timing of that.
Oh, within a month.
Within a month. So you never looked at the site before you paid him?
Yes.
Oh, when you looked at it, it looked right when
Yes.
you paid him?
When I paid him, the site
Right.
was...
Then a month later, then the answer to my question is a month later, you notice that it doesn't look right.
That it wasn't stored.
What does stored mean to you?
Secured. The site
Since
disappeared.
when does stored mean secured?
It wasn't-
Stored means you put it on a shelf and you're holding it. Like when does if the word secured means secured, but also secured until when? Like people pay people to maintain a website because stuff happens.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
That's what maintenance means to me. That's why we did an additional contract for him to maintain the site.
Okay, so you are agreeing, even though you didn't sign the contract, that you agreed to pay him $75 to maintain the site. So why didn't you pay the other $150?
Because I was away at the time, and I would have signed the contract when I returned.
Yeah, but whether you sign the contract or not, if the guy is earning the money that you agreed verbally that you would pay him, why wouldn't you?
I noticed that the site was not secured. The site disappeared. I didn't want to lose that because...
What ended up happening that all of a sudden the site didn't look as it had been planned?
Ma'am, what actually happened was on August 14th, I attempted to upgrade his site. When I went to log in, I was unable to access the admin panel. I immediately found out that because a couple of plugins give the site functionality and it gives the site a look and feel. I basically meticulously got in contact with the Namecheap, which is the web host. The web host.
The web host that you used was Namecheap.
That's their name. So they told me, based on chatting with their technical support, they informed me that the reason the site went down was because of 2 plugins. These plugins, ma'am, were automatically updated far beyond my control as the administrator of the site.
So did you fix it?
Absolutely, I did. Now, what happened was, after I did it, and because the 2 plugins were deleted, certain visual elements of the website.
So did you fix that? Because it changed. Now all of a sudden, what? It was a white background. Things were in the wrong order.
Right.
So he doesn't like it. So did you fix that?
I did fix it to a certain degree. The only thing that was missing was the menu that was originally at the top.
So why couldn't you fix that though?
Because I could not access certain elements of the website to fix it.
Why not?
Based on how the site was originally set up by my predecessor, you had to have access.
Right.
And that's what I eventually had to do, because originally his site was.
All right, when you say eventually, so did you get it up and running in a way where you're in complete control and you don't have to rely on the guy who took the money and ran?
We never did that.
Why not?
Because of the fact that based on what Namecheap told me, they said that I would not be able to access certain functionality.
You wouldn't be able to close out the account unless you had the password?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, did you have the password to be able to close out that account and start a new account?
Before we did anything, I allowed Mr. Isaiah to interface with the other gentleman, Ian, to get the password and the login.
I thought you were in a lawsuit with that person.
I am.
Oh, so
But he did navigate us getting the login and password.
Well, did you have the
And we changed it. We have it and he has it.
So so you have the password that you're struggling to obtain?
No. If I can.
Hold on. So if he has the password, why don't you just ask him for it?
I did. He told me to stop bothering him, that Mr. Moody had all the information. As we found out later, that was not true. What he had did as a fail-safe, ma'am, he set up another account that restricted us from fully.
Who's he?
The man he just mentioned, Ian.
Oh, the other fellow.
My
okay.
predecessor, the one that took the money and ran.
Okay. Okay, so go on.
So we have the login and the password. That's what he used to restore the account. The account was restored, and up until I thought the account was restored and secured. It was only when the account disappeared that I began this discourse on vacation with Mr. Isaiah, and I provided you all of these.
Yeah, I have it all.
Right.
But
that's
see,
where the conversation where I noticed that the website was totally different. And so I'm trying to have this conversation with them. How did this happen? And so is the account secured? And
you keep saying secured like there's a lock to a door. And I've read his chat with the tech people at Namecheap.
Yes.
So I understand what he's saying, that sometimes, have you ever upgraded your phone and then all of a sudden something doesn't work? Or if you don't upgrade your phone, then something doesn't work. See, people out there are constantly trying to stymie us, right? They're changing their platforms and there's new things being invented. It's not even that I think they're building in obsolescence, but also besides that, besides trying to make you buy the bigger space, sometimes things just progress, technology progresses, they have a better way to do it, so they make everybody move on to that better way, otherwise you won't be able to see the things you want. I'm sorry, I don't need to be mansplained, I'm in the middle of explaining it to the two of you.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 40% off select styles. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So because of the fact that it needs to be upgraded, it'll be upgraded, and then all of a sudden something else doesn't work, causing you to either get a new phone or upgrade other stuff. But you can't just do like my husband does, which is, I'm not upgrading anything, because then other stuff won't work. So you got to keep up with the times. That's where the maintenance comes in. But if you don't want him to do your maintenance, you can get somebody else to do your maintenance. But tell me about your counterclaim against him for $500 because you feel what? That the original work wasn't done?
That the original work was not secured.
Secured what?
Because it disappeared.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
And what he put back
by your theory, you never pay, just a second. By your theory, you never pay for maintenance, and 6 months later you say it disappeared, so you didn't secure it, you didn't do the original job.
So I'm not going to honor the contract that we did not sign, because what I noticed is I really should have took you to court when I discovered that you didn't have the competence to secure that site. But because I was already trying to take somebody else to court, I'm tired of this. I don't know anything about this. I'm a counselor. That's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
I hired you to have the competence to know how to do this. So when I'm seeing that you just can't do it, I decide to walk away from it, only to find out that now he's suing me. So of course I'm going to countersue you because you didn't do the job.
Okay. Now, I just don't understand why you didn't just start fresh with a new site.
In order to start fresh, ma'am, you got to move to a different platform. And based on how my predecessor set it up, you couldn't move to another platform without the password that he used to originally set all of this scenario up. So then what I was forced to do was use the platform that my predecessor originally used to restore the site, which I did, which was WordPress. The problem with that scenario is WordPress automatically updates the website, which is well beyond my control or Mr. Moody's, I might point out. But those were the tools I had to work with.
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying. Were you ever able to correct it to how it had been when he was happy and paid you $500?
No, I was not.
Why?
Because of the fact that, unfortunately, there were certain capabilities of the website that I just couldn't configure it.
Why not?
Because I didn't have the time to look for another plugin to replace the plugins that were. See, once we deleted those two plugins, it totally took away the visual appeal of the site, and then I had to try to find another plugin that was compatible with the new upgrade of the website. That's the problem with, like you mentioned.
Right, but that's what you get paid. Let's assume he was paying you the $75 every month. Isn't that exactly what you're paid for? So why wouldn't you know how to do that?
Because it takes time to find the plugin, ma'am. And the only thing missing, ma'am.
How do you find the plugin?
You go on WordPress's site and find a plugin that's compatible with the brand new upgrade they did. The issue here is that.
But why doesn't WordPress just tell you that right away?
Unfortunately, I can't answer that question for them.
Right, but I do see where Namecheap sent you like a link. Was it WordPress or Namecheap that sent you a link saying, here's how to do it?
WordPress.
Yeah, what they did was they sent me links to use plugins, but those plugins weren't compatible. This is the irony. They sent links to plugins that wasn't compatible with the brand new upgrade to 6.01. And now you got to search for plugins that are completely compatible with the brand new upgrade to
Right,
WordPress.
But you're suing for 2 months of maintenance fees. In 2 months, you couldn't find the plugins to make it look like it did before?
Well, I didn't have the time because after he...
Well, I understand, but then how is it that I should tell him you need to pay him? First of all, you don't get to not honor a contract that you didn't sign. There are verbal contracts. However, if you breach the contract, then he gets to not honor it because you breached. So what I'm trying to understand is if you have 2 whole months to do that, why is it that you don't get it done? If this is not beyond your capabilities. Because that's what he's saying. He's saying you don't know how to do it.
Because at the same time, I'm also images that he's given me and material that he's given me to upgrade the site, to keep the site such as podcast information. I'm still doing that at the same time that I'm searching for plugins for this brand new upgrade.
How long? Okay, I don't understand. When you search for a plugin, what does it mean? Like how if you, other than asking them, hey, what plugin is compatible, and then they send you an article and a link to tell you which ones are compatible, what else is there to searching for the plugins to replace the ones that were removed by the upgrade?
Because what will happen is that plugin has to be compatible with the brand new version.
Well, that's the reason that WordPress sent it to you, is because they're saying it's compatible.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately it was not.
So where there's a chat where you tell them, I saw the chat where you say, why don't you just do it for me, LOL. But I don't see the chat back where you say, hey, the article you sent me didn't help because those plugins aren't compatible. I don't see that.
Yeah, because at the same time, ma'am, I'm still trying to upgrade his site on the fly.
Right.
On
the fly is exactly the problem. That's it. What's your day job that's not the tech? What's your day job?
Well, my day job is tech support, ma'am.
Do you work for a company?
No, I have a nonprofit, and that's what.
What's the nonprofit do?
Basically, we provide quality of life and information technology services to other nonprofits and private businesses.
Okay.
I would like to point out, ma'am, that the link that they sent, it was basically impossible for these plugins to work because they had just upgraded to a new version of 6.0.
Okay, well then why not reach out to them again and get the right plugins? Like, in other words, in 2 months, why don't you just reach out to them again and say, this one didn't work, give me the new plugins?
Because now this goes into the realm of site maintenance.
Well, I would have said that from the beginning. But you didn't. Or actually, it's not that you didn't. It's that you assumed he was going to be paying you, and he wasn't paying you.
Right, and I still did.
Right, but then you didn't finish. You didn't bring it full circle and actually fix it.
Right.
So he's like, "Well, why would I pay you if you didn't fix it?" And you're like, "Well, why would I fix it if you didn't pay me?"
Exactly. And then I was doing it, but then once he started disparaging what I had already done.
How did he disparage what you had already done?
He was saying that I paid you $500 and the site is not restored.
Well, yeah, but that was truthful. He didn't say anything that was a lie.
So that's when we discovered that it wasn't stored.
Stored?
I have no idea what he means either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean because we had the conversation.
What do you think stored means?
It means it ain't secured. It ain't there.
That's not secured means secured.
Yeah, man.
Everybody just stop. We're not going to go back and forth on this anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's what's going to happen, gentlemen. I am going to insist that you give him the backup of the work that you did originally for the $500. I am not going to order him, even though I do find that you folks had that, quote, contract to do the site maintenance. I don't think he got anything for that, so I'm not going to order him to pay that because you didn't eventually fix it, and you had 2 months to fix it. So if I'm going to order him to pay you for maintenance, it better be fixed, and especially in 2 months. So I'm not going to order him to pay you for maintenance, and I'm not going to order him to pay you punitive damages. This is a contracts case. He either owes you the maintenance, just the maintenance, or he doesn't. And I'm not going to order him to pay it because he didn't get anything for the maintenance. On your counterclaim against him, you got the original site, and you can scream at me till the cows come home telling me that the word stored means secured forever and ever. It doesn't. There's maintenance that has to be done. So just pay somebody else to do it if you don't have any confidence in him. I'm not going to make you pay him for the maintenance because he didn't fix it. But you don't get the $500 back because something happened later. However, I agree with you that you should at a minimum have the backup of the work that you paid for the $500 for. Then someone else can figure out the plugins to replace. But we all know what the actual problem is. It isn't that he didn't secure it forever and ever, and the word stored means secured. The word stored means stored. But one of the things you should do when you charge somebody $500 is give him the backup. So I'm going to order you to give him the backup. Yep. If you do not give him the backup, I don't care that it has the bad plugins. If you do not give him the backup, then I am going to order you to repay him the $500.
Okay.
Therefore, that takes care of the counterclaim. And on your claim against him, no punitive damages and no site maintenance because in 2 months you didn't maintain the site back to what it should have been, and you should have been able to figure that out sooner. That's my verdict, gentlemen. Good luck.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff fails to get all the money he was seeking from the defendant, and the defendant didn't win his countersuit either. So both parties did not they came away with nothing, really. Mr. Moody, let me talk to you, the defendant. How do you feel about the outcome of this case?
I'm satisfied with the outcome.
You are. Good enough. You didn't have to pay for the maintenance, the site maintenance, and that's what you had agreed to. All right, good enough. What are you going to do now? You kept using the term stored and secured. Is that a lot different from backup?
No, I wanted the site to be secured, meaning I wanted my domain Tier 1 recovery to be secured.
Yeah.
And so I have the name, so I just got to find somebody with the competence.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I guess you're satisfied then, even though you lost your countersuit. So good enough. And you will find somebody else to work on your website now, right?
Someone that has the competence, yes.
Exactly. Okay, Mr. Moody, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what Mr. Isaiah, he's the plaintiff who brought this case to court originally. Let's see what he has to say. What do you think about the outcome?
Oh, I'm satisfied with the outcome. I would like to point out I tried to do the best that I could to help Mr. Moody, even though he wasn't paying me. So I think I handled myself professionally.
He thinks you really aren't capable of providing what he wanted. Would you agree with that or not?
Absolutely not. I provided the restoration of his original site after he got ripped off by the previous contractor, and I did work above and beyond what I was supposed to do without an agreement.
All right. Well, listen, that's what you said to the judge, so good enough. I'm sorry you didn't get the money you were seeking, but that's the way it goes in court some days, okay?
That is true.
Very good. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Isaiah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Harvey?
So, Doug, in a case like this, I think I want to generalize this, that when you make a deal with somebody, the more specific you are in a contract, the better protected you are. Write down the breakdown of services, everything you can think of in a contract. That will prevent these disputes where you end up in court.
I received a $1,000 gift certificate to an antique car parts supplier. My antique car's finished and I have a balance on the card. The vendor won't refund any of it. They say it's their policy. Can they just keep that money?
Of course they can.
Well, wait a minute. You have a $1,000 gift certificate, right?
Right. When have you ever been able to get money back on a gift certificate?
Well, you probably can't. You're right. They're not going to give you the cash.
Right. That's what he's asking for.
Right. Yeah. He wants the cash.
Yeah. Go buy another part with the rest of your money. But
I thought it was as good as cash.
No, it's not redeemable for cash.
If you go to McDonald's, you can only get cheeseburgers.
If you look at these gift certificates anywhere, they always say not redeemable for cash on the back of them.
That's true. But what if? Here's the problem. It's an antique car parts dealer. Like when's the next time that he's going to need a carburetor for a 1927 Bugatti Royale?
Next week.
Right? Probably never.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I guess so. Old car stuff breaks on.
Yeah,
right.
But new car stuff breaks on. But you don't get, the person doesn't give you cash back because you didn't. No.
But he does have a credit.
He should have a credit, and unless there's
there could be a time limit.
There might be a time limit.
Void after 1 year or something. Who the hell knows?
So if I were you, I'd buy the part that is most likely going to break down.
Get some windshield wiper blades.
Do something.
Whatever the hell you can get. Make the most of it. Right.
This is the plaintiff, George. He says he does handyman work and was hired by the defendant to do some work around her house. The woman paid him in full and then turned around and stopped payment. The defendant also insulted him, called him a misogynist, and was downright abusive. He refuses to just walk away from the $785 she still owes him, so he's suing for just that today. This is the defendant, Lucy. She says the guy walked into her house with no mask during the pandemic. Her dogs started barking at him, and he said, "Looks like not too many men walk into this house," which was very unprofessional. Bottom line, the man did a horrible job. He left her place a bloomin' mess, and she's not paying. She's accused of shortchanging a handyman.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he was hired by the defendant to do some work around her house, and then she went and stopped payment on his check. But the defendant says the plaintiff was rude to her. He didn't wear a mask in her house in the middle of a pandemic and is owed nothing for his shoddy work. It's the case of mask up or pay up.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right. Mr. George, you are suing Ms. Lucy for $785, $390 of it, money that you say she owes you and stopped payment on, and the rest of it for pain and suffering and return check fees. What happened?
I received a text from her the Friday before Thanksgiving of last year, and it said that she was a friend of a friend who is a very dear friend of mine who lost his wife last year of 61 years, and he's in incredible grieving right now, and I will do anything to help this guy. So when I received the text from the defendant...
you went into overdrive because she said she was a friend of Putter's.
She doesn't know Putter.
Well, as it turns out, she's a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of Putter's or something. It's
apparently, I don't know.
All right, but so you agree on $65 an hour to do some handiwork, and it's an actual hourly fee, correct? Like it's not by the job, it's by the hour.
You know, I charge a minimum of 2 hours to do anything.
Right.
And then it's $65 an hour for every hour after.
Right, but it's by the hour, and she agrees to it, and then you go there, and how many hours of work do you do?
6 hours.
All right. So she pays you the $65. She pays you by check?
Yes,
the $65 an hour.
For $390.
$90. And does she express any concern before she pays you? Is she upset about anything? Does she?
Nothing. She's complimentary. She's friendly. She tells me that she actually doesn't know my friend, but that she got my number from someone else. And that's when I'm like, what? You know, but no, she expressed no concern whatsoever. And then it was on Thanksgiving Day that I found out that the check had been stopped. And that's not a great day to have a stop check.
Right. So
do
you call her or what do you do?
I texted her, and I believe, and I certainly hope I've been professional this whole time. She sent me the world's longest text, and when she called me a misogynist, that's when I stopped reading it. I don't even know what the rest of the text says. I've never read it. I just simply realized that I needed to just go to court and file a small claims case.
Let me hear from you, Ms. Lucy. You paid the guy a check for $390 and then you stopped payment on it. Why?
Well, because I realized that he had left a huge mess. But
you realized that the day you were writing out the check. There's nothing new. That wasn't a surprise, was it?
Well, I was working when he was in the house. And I was going to let it go. I was just going to deal with the mess that he left. And that's why I wrote him the check. But after he left and I finished my work that I was doing at the dining room table, I went in and I saw the electrical sockets that he hadn't put back. I saw the shelves. I went to the front and there was a mess in the front. There was a mess in the backyard. He left such a mess, and I thought to myself, no, that's not right. I'm not going to pay him the full amount. So the next morning, I texted him and I said, I'm not going to pay you the entire amount, but I will pay you half because you did half the work. Now I will pay you,
Right, but see, you weren't paying him by the job. If you had said, I'm going to pay you $390 to paint these 2 rooms, and then you say, well, he only got to one of the rooms. I understand what you're saying, but your agreement with him was to pay him by the hour, right?
Yes.
And that's just math. He spent, X amount of time doing the work, so you owe him Y. That's it. It's just math. So you would have to hire him for more hours to do the work that was undone, because you were there, the work that was done. And this is why I don't hire people by the hour. It makes me nervous. I don't like it. I feel like they may milk it. I'm constantly on edge and anxiety-ridden about whether they're dragging their feet. I don't hire people by the hour. But you did. And so when you did that, and if he spent 6 hours, why isn't he entitled to $390? Because you thought 6 hours would yield you more, but it turns out that's the risk you take. Where's the misogyny part? Okay, here we go. Not to mention your rude, arrogant behavior when you first walked into my house and said, because my dogs were barking, that there must not be many men coming to my house. Misogyny much? Or you putting your fingers in your ears when you were trying to talk to me and my dogs were barking. Very childish. So you found it to be sexist when he said there must not be a lot of men coming to your house.
Yes, but that's not the reason I don't want to pay him. $65 an hour is a lot of money. And I thought that for $65 an hour, I would be completely hands off. So it's not that I expected him to do all of the work. I understand if he wasn't able to finish, but because I assumed he was a professional handyman, I would assume he would come into my house and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this room. I'm not going to be able to do that, but I can do this. So it was his responsibility to tell me what it was that he was able to do in that amount of time.
All he has to do is tell you my time is worth $65 an hour. And then all you have to do is answer my question, was he there 6 hours? If those two things are correct, then don't rehire him. Hire somebody who charges you by the job. But the fact that everything you wanted couldn't be done cannot possibly mean that you get to turn around and then say to him, oh, and by the way, I know I wrote you a check, but now I'm going to stop payment on it. Because he can sue you under two theories. One is you breached the contract because he worked 6 hours, you're supposed to pay him, and that's that. And the other is that he can sue you on the written instrument because you wrote the check, which is like, you know, it means I'm going to pay you. And then you turn around and sneaky, and then you stop payment on it.
No, but I told him, don't cash the check. And I told him that I was going to write him another check.
Yes, but that's not up to you. It's not up to you. He set a price for his time, and you agreed to it, and then he spent the amount of time there. And if he walks in and you felt he was being sexist when he says, not too many men must come here, which I mean, I guess that could be sexist. I don't know, whatever. I mean,
but that's not even the
right. I know, but if you don't, then just toss him. Say, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. I don't like your tone. Get out of here, and then get somebody. I mean, I don't know. Yes. But once you let the guy work there under the agreed upon terms, which are $65 an hour, and you let 6 hours pass, 6 times 65 is what the guy gets. You don't get to say you should have worked faster. Okay, no, we're done. $395 because you also get the $5 return check fee. You don't get pain and suffering in a contracts case. $395 verdict for the plaintiff.
Ms. Lucy, let me ask you, what do you think about the judge's decision? How you feel about it?
I don't think it was fair because he should have used those 6 hours to complete one job properly. He shouldn't have started another task at my house without finishing the one that he could finish completely, clean up, put the paint cans away, clean up like a professional handyman should. But it is what it is.
All right, well, that's the judge's decision. You're going to have to live with that. George, how do you feel about the verdict? Let me ask you something. Why did you say to her, it looks like not too many men have come into her house?
Simply because her dogs would not start barking at me. They just were barking constantly. And I had to block the door, and she had little barricades all around her kitchen and bathroom and whatnot to keep the dogs from approaching me. And I know from other dog behavioralists that sometimes dogs don't have a lot of male energy around them. And so when males come around them, they get weird and they get aggressive. And that's the only reason I asked that. I was not presuming anything about her social life or anything like that.
Bottom line is, you weren't saying that because you don't like women, right? That's what you're trying to say.
No, I like women.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that'll do it for the case. You're happy, you get paid, and that's why we're here. Okay, Harvey, what do you think?
You know, Doug, we've seen this so much in the People's Court where somebody is just bent out of shape because they weren't treated fairly or nicely or rudely in this case. And the reality is, even if somebody is rude to you, if you owe them money, that is never a defense not to pay. You have to pay up and suck it up.
Do you two have a regular date night, and where is your favorite place to go?
We don't really have a regular date night, do we?
It's now every day is date night because the kids are gone.
Right. Yeah, we're empty nesters. Now we're empty nesters. You're right. So actually, we cook at home a lot more.
We do.
And when we go out, it's always like the same 2 or 3 places that are close by because I know we'll be able to park there.
Right.
I know what we're going to get. It's maybe not going to be great, but it's not going to be terrible either.
Well,
right?
I have to push you against that comfort zone of yours. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, every now and then you want to go someplace. You want to be bold and go to like Midtown.
We can only be bold if there's another couple involved because I will never push you to be bold alone.
Yeah, you're kind of right about that.
So I'll always blame it on the other couple say they wanted to go.
There's 2 or 3 other couples that we sometimes get on. We have a small boat. We get on that boat and we take it to the Miami River and then park behind.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite things.
Yeah.
Especially when we can catch sunset on the way to going over there.
Catch the sunset on the way, and then the city lit up at night is really beautiful.
It's really nice on the way back. Yeah.